This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where each week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be speaking with Brad Mitchell of MojoHost in part 2 of our conversation. There's some upcoming events we'll be attending. December 3rd and 4th, I'll be at Affiliate World Conference in Bangkok. December 7th through the 9th, I'll be sponsoring AW Summit Elite in Koh Chang, Thailand. And to start the year right, I'll be in Hollywood for XBiz LA. I hope to see many of you at these events. If you'd like to sit down and discuss business at any of these shows, contact us at adultsitebroker.com. We're proud to announce our latest project, thewaronporn.com. You'll find articles on age verification laws and other attacks on our industry. It's to raise awareness of our industry's plight in the war on porn. You'll find all that and more at thewaronporn.com. Now time for our properties of the week for sale at Adult Site Broker. We have a premium AI companion platform focused on emotional realism and deep memory. Users interact with lifelike companions that remember every detail and respond with real emotion. We have a network of BDSM subreddits. It has over 1.49 million users, over 3.8 million posts, and almost 45,000 comments. There's a porn picture site with both a Web3 and a Web2 domain. The keyword of the domains is one of the most globally recognized and searched terms in the world, porn. We have a buyer who's looking for dating and lifestyle sites in Europe. They would also consider other geos. We're offering a strip chat white label. The average user spends 24 minutes on the site. We have a network of interracial reality hardcore sites. The main site has reality hardcore porn with amateur girls as well as some porn stars. There's a unique platform that bridges the gap between mainstream social link services like Linktree and adult content creators on platforms like OnlyFans. They combine a bio link with the ability to send virtual gifts. We're offering a growing free porn gaming site with adult sex games. The site is owned by one of the top entrepreneurs in our industry. And there's a highly active, organically grown Reddit community centered around the stalking and foot fetish niches. For more information, go to our listings page at adultsitebroker.com. If you have any questions, please contact us on our website. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is our returning champion, Brad Mitchell of MojoHost. I just stole that from Bill Maher. Brad, thanks for being back with us on Adult Site Broker Talk.
Hey, Bruce. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me again.
That's 4 times, Brad. You're very brave.
I thought the third time was a charm, so...
It was a charm.
We'll see if I can be charming again for a 4th.
You always are. Brad's the president of MojoHost, a world leader in hosting for more than 26 years. Under his leadership, MojoHost has become a trusted partner to over 3,000 adult companies worldwide. Update me if my numbers are off at all. Delivering unmatched reliability and service while always leading by example. Today, MojoHost is trailblazing the future of adult tech infrastructure with its new MojoAI offerings, while continuing to set the standard in cloud hosting, content delivery, and high-performance servers. With state-of-the-art facilities in Michigan, Florida, and the Netherlands, and a talented team of nearly 60 professionals, MojoHost stands as the industry benchmark for innovation, performance, and support. Brad's leadership and dedication have been recognized with more than 70 adult industry awards, celebrating his honesty, hard work, and MojoHost's commitment to excellence. Beyond business, he plays an active role in shaping and supporting the community, serving on the boards of the ASACP and Pineapple Support, while also being a proud supporter of the Free Speech Coalition. With a legacy of trust and a future defined by innovation, Brad and MojoHost continue to embody the standard of That's Good Mojo. So looking to the future, where do you see the greatest opportunities for MojoAI in the adult entertainment space? And is there more to the rest of your AI vision?
So I see lots of opportunities in adult entertainment. I mean, you've got what's called agentive AI, which is, whether you can imagine in a basic sense, this idea that customer support will be replaced by AI, it's already happening. But, if you took that same sentiment and you transitioned it to entertainment, right, whether it's a texting conversation or a voice conversation, I think there's really something to that. I think even this whole concept of AI boyfriend, girlfriend sites, there's a lot of interesting attempts out there. Bruce, you've probably already got one of those sites for sale, I'm sure.
Well, of course I do. And got more on tap.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's really amazing. I think it's a great way for creators to leverage their persona and their book of work and their time and their online presence to be more available and to create new ways to entertain their clients when it's done right. Because if it's not done right and it's not a great experience, then it just simply isn't great. But I know that it can be because I've seen it. Images are obviously already a winner, or they can be, depending on how it's done. But, creating great images using AI, there's a lot of great product right now. So I think, we'll see more of that, but that creates other opportunity. When you start to combine that with real conversation, then all of a sudden, if you were a creator and you could have, say, your AI chatbot chatting with a customer who should know if they're paying for it, that that's what it is. Nobody should ever lie. But imagine the possibilities if it's trained on the model and it's trained on all of their looks and physical features, if it's trained on their voice, if it's trained on their personality, if it's trained on their likes and dislikes. I mean, that's really powerful stuff.
I've got a listing right now for a company that has a very, very advanced version of AI chat, and it's not published because it's private listing. But yeah, I've got some large companies looking at these guys, and they are pretty amazing.
Well, so my advice is no matter where anybody is at in their AI journey, as best as you can, you need to try to look under the hood and do a 50-point, inspection on the vehicle, just like if you were buying a car. Other opportunities, video is really exciting. It takes way more GPU, so it takes way more compute. So this is why this pairs well with our new product offering. So I just landed, nearly 100 of NVIDIA's latest generation GPU, and those are real ass kickers. They're super, super fast. So while all of the developers are busy writing and improving their code base to create better and longer and more realistic videos, this is exactly the kind of hardware that they're going to want to place that on, would be the Blackwell generation, like what MojoAI has.
Interesting. Coming from a point of ignorance about technology, and I'm about as ignorant as they come, will there be a time, do you think, where general hosting will be done using GPUs?
It's a fascinating question, and I've asked myself the same thing. I'm never afraid to ask the dumb questions, and I do that a lot to the systems engineers that I have, the network engineers, the storage guys, the AI guys. You can't ever be afraid to ask your questions. So I haven't found the answer to that yet, but like I had imagined for myself, I was really trying to think out of the box, and I thought, what could I do on my not yet built or designed website yet, like for this new top level domain, mojo.ai. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be so cool if, maybe that's somehow a more immersive experience? Maybe it's not just like a website with a menu. Maybe it appears different. Maybe it's just like there's a box and you can talk to it. That might be a really neat way to approach it.
I think so. You got to make sure you got the right developer.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's clear things are going in that direction, and I'm excited to see that and to be a part of it. And I think that I would say the rest of my AI vision is broad. It certainly expands beyond adult. I mean, of course, we've assembled great product, but, our GPUs can be used just like anybody else's, right? So, for any other vertical market. So, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to find some traction, and perhaps it'll even be easier to do that with my sexy MojoAI brand.
There you go. I've actually got a developer. I won't drop his name here because I'm not sure, 100% sure he would be into doing the project, but he's very involved in AI right now, and he actually might be a good choice to be, if not completely developing, working on this project, and I'll put you guys together.
Sure, I'd appreciate that.
The industry is, of course, having its issues. That's kind of the understatement of the year. How has this year been for MojoHost's business with all that in mind?
So this is a hard year for all of us. I mean, the SCOTUS decision and all of the battles that it feels like we're fighting all over the country and then in other countries, weighs heavy on everybody. And it's, of course, the case that as a web host, I have a somewhat of a bird's eye view. So I observe, of course, that this has yet again raised the barrier to entry for new entrepreneurs because the complexity has changed, the costs have changed, the legal concerns have changed. I mean, it's a very complex environment to navigate.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I saw an article today, and we're recording this on August 26th, that about half of the UK adult traffic has evaporated.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those numbers look like. I mean, what I would say from my perspective is that, our support ticket system, most MojoHost clients are taking managed support where they ask us to help to do things at the server level. And one of those things would be obviously, configuring things for GeoIP, for filtering, for blocking states and countries, and helping them to install software that they choose to achieve what they've determined for their business is the right level of compliance. So we certainly see a lot of that. I've certainly talked to a lot of clients who have, shared about those challenges. I've seen what feels like some more companies being bought and sold. How does that impact MojoHost? Well, all clients are important to us, whether they're spending tens or hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, or certainly more important when they're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month. And, it's really hard. And I feel like the ways that we're all connected and the way that I have to support them to help keep them viable, a lot of times it means I'm doing write downs for clients. Almost everybody that's a MojoHost client has some kind of a discount. There always has been a lot of very good pricing over the years. But, I had another, I've got more requests for that, right? And of course, some people decide it's too complicated or they just can't figure it out anymore, so they close up shop. And so that's difficult. I mean, I suspect that we'll see more through the end of the year and into next year. I think that if there's a wave of change that is affecting site revenue and closure, this will look more like a snowball rolling down a hill that may get larger and change things faster. And so in light of all of these recent changes, I've just been as studious as I can be about running my own business and making sure that I'm looking at all of our expenses and all of our investments with a very pragmatic and responsible eye so that we can be ready to weather whatever storm is ahead and be just as resilient to pivot in the ways that a web host, a technology company, because we don't operate, obviously, any sites. We're, AWS in the way that we're a web hosting company. So it just happens to be that we host a lot of the adult entertainment industry. So we're open to hosting more, but I'm still very focused on just being the best that we can, playing to our home audience, giving them the support that they need, and making sure that MojoHost is financially prepared to continue being great for its clients.
Yeah. So this is going to be a multi-part question. You publicly launched Mojo Compute in 2024 as Mojo Cloud's core offering. How's that doing? Have you found many customers for the cloud? Is it profitable? Does your larger customer base need it? Or are there specific use cases that require the cloud more than others? How's it going for your cloud clients, and what feedback have you received?
That is definitely a multi-part question. What we were calling Mojo Cloud for the first few years was really our very mature cloud storage products where, at MojoHost in multiple different locations, we have tens of petabytes of storage online. Without ever having had it on our website, we had been building and managing private clouds for clients going back a long time. But it wasn't something that I put on my website because it's a lot of manpower. And the one thing that there's never enough of is systems engineers. The revenue has to be there, right? So I wasn't ready to officially launch, the cloud, and Mojo Compute is our cloud computing product that's most similar to AWS until we were really, really ready, right? I wanted to, not just vet it in theory, but, we had clients on it long before it was ever publicly marketed because I'm so sensitive to our reputation and because it really means everything took a lifetime to build it. So we've done okay with Mojo Compute. It has clients. It has lots of clients. It's not hundreds of clients yet, but at scale, there are lots of clients, and the revenue numbers are growing steadily each month, which was what I was expecting to see. Is it a success? Well, it's paying its own bills, so that's good, I think, for any new product. We're always really invested in hardware. That's the easy part. But I know something's working when I'm doing my monthly analysis on all of our different product lines, and I'm able to record how it's changed month over month. And so, yeah, I do think it's a success. And I see, what our costs are associated with that. And it's not huge yet, but it's a solid 6-digit number, and it's growing month over month every month. So that's good. You said, does our larger customer base need the cloud? The answer is, for a lot of them, no. Because the cloud isn't a better place to be unless you need it.
I mean, why isn't it a better place to be?
Because I would have to explain what is a cloud. And there are
Well, I can look in the sky and see clouds, but I mean, no, I guess that's not what we're talking about. Okay, go ahead.
I could hear 100 different engineers yelling at me, right? But basically, the fundamental difference between cloud is really how you're able to manage and program the scalability. And the truth is, most sites and clients don't need that. And when they're placed in VPS or dedicated server or other variants of servers, you do that by design so that somebody can speak to and manage well at the peak of their traffic, or even to be 10 or 20 or 50 or 100% bigger than they are. Cloud isn't cheaper. It's more expensive to use. But sometimes, these young developers, or sometimes developers, have this impression that, like, oh, well, I can be more efficient because I want to auto scale. So now I need 2 cores, but I might need 50, right? So they think it's better to be in a cloud instance. And that is really not the case for most sites and most use cases that I have seen. Where I would say it's relevant is for companies that are programming and developing all of their software and code and customer experience to use cloud-based technologies, to have that kind of expansion. So what's the fundamental difference? So the fundamental difference is that your storage isn't local. So every read or write to what today would be like an NVMe, think of like a solid, an SSD, it has to actually leave your computer, go over a network cable and grab it from somewhere else, and then bring it back and feed that result. So it's able to do all of that incredibly fast, right? Like microseconds. But there are still latencies there. But, cloud's fantastic for most use cases. It can work really well, but it's not right for everybody, because the best value solution is typically still being in some other type of bundled server solution, be that a traditional dedicated server or some type of virtualized platform. So it's like, I would say the people that, if you don't know if you need it, you can talk to me and I'll help you figure it out. If you don't need it, I don't sell people things that they don't need, want, or can't appreciate. And so I would always lead people in the right direction, even if it means pointing them away from MojoHost, because I very much want everyone to succeed, because that's good Mojo, right?
Exactly. Well, how's it going for the people who are using it? What kind of feedback have you gotten?
It's fantastic. We have fully managed clients that are using the cloud, but we also have a lot of the larger IT organizations in the adult entertainment space have realized that they don't need to be on Amazon at Amazon's rates, which are substantially higher. They can have the best of everything. They can have our personalized support. They can get an environment that can scale dynamically. They can have an everyday low price. And so we're really able to do all that. So we have some really big companies doing really forward-thinking programming and relaunching of stuff. Most companies that are clients on Mojo Cloud have pulled their stuff from AWS. And then, of course, there are some people building new that haven't brought to market yet. But 95% of the people using my cloud came from other clouds, and the feedback that I'm getting is impressive.
Bezos doesn't need the money. You've recently coined the term Mojo servers and described it in your newsletter as something pivotal and deeply important. Why are Mojo servers such a big deal? What makes a good Mojo? And what are you doing with this worldwide launch to truly benefit your clients? You discuss it in your newsletter. Is that something people need to be a client to read, or can they sign up for free?
So what we're doing is we are basically getting rid of dedicated servers like they're going the way of the dodo bird. They just don't make sense anymore. So what we've done, we spent 2 years in development to launch what we're calling Mojo servers. And what it is it's not the VPS that you and I have known for the last 25 years, Bruce. It's a really, really smart, brilliant deployment on powerful, dedicated hardware that is smartly virtualized in many very detailed ways and in ways that VPSs aren't. So what is it? I tell you what, it's faster than every other dedicated server I was selling. So we still have some dedicated server offerings, and they're all very relevant. And sometimes they are the best use case. But what I was able to do, and what really the good Mojo thing is we are moving every client at MojoHost that had any older generation dedicated server, we are moving them for free to Mojo servers. And I'm the hardware nerd that figured it all out. When I started the planning and I figured this all out, and then we were able to benchmark and validate and then move real clients and then see that it was everything I thought it was going to be. We're talking like I'm moving people from servers and their server is 50 or 100% faster. Their storage is 5 to 10x faster. The networking on the new Mojo servers, they're all redundantly 100 gigabit network servers. The storage, I'm taking clients that were using hard drives and SSDs and moving everything to NVMe. I'm doing it all at our cost, at MojoHost cost. So it's really a tremendous uplift. And I'm proud to say that while we just started moving people into Mojo servers, it's August, so like 3 months ago, we've already completed 250 moves.
I mean, what's going to be your total investment in all that?
So that was huge. That was part of the $3.5 million I spent this year. So I went and bought about 100 servers for each of our locations, give or take, that were these, super, very powerful AMD EPYC servers, and then all of the, huge investment, storage. People don't talk about the details, so everyone assumes hosting gets cheaper year after year. Bruce, none of that shit's true. Storage is more expensive than ever.
Is it really?
Oh my goodness, let me tell you. So I timed right in, it was maybe 12 to 36 months ago, somewhere in there. I made some huge storage purchases of NVMe. I'm not even exaggerating. Say it's the most expensive part of a server right now. So all of the RAM and the DIMMs and the chips that make up the storage have all more than basically doubled in price.
Well, I mean, they should be more expensive because they're better, right?
No, same technology, twice as expensive. So I can sell my used equipment. It's selling for twice as much as I paid 2 years ago.
Well, that's good. So you are recovering some of your investment.
No, I'm not. It's literally just an investment because I can't sell the hardware. I'm letting my clients use it. It's not like I'm selling it.
No, but I mean, what about the old hardware?
It gets recycled, Bruce.
Oh, I thought you literally. I thought you were talking about it being in the old hardware. I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh, so what I'm explaining though, so like if you just think for a moment, like let's say maybe you had a 960 gigabyte solid state disk. I don't know if you know it as an NVMe, but maybe you've got something in your laptop, right? That cost $100 for the enterprise variant about 2 years ago. Now it's like $200 because RAM is a commodity that we aren't in control of, and it's all coming from Asia. And so it's not at all tariff based. It has to do with the silicon. So it prices much like other things that you would see trade on different markets. But anyways, so it's complicated, but we made a huge investment in that. And, basically what my goal here is I saw it as a true opportunity to pull my clients into the future, but not do it disruptively. So we also, besides developing the platform, we developed an amazingly successful process that makes moving them from their old dedicated servers into new Mojo servers effortless. There's all these other cool benefits like how we do backups, how we can restore things, how we can live migrate them from one of these servers to a new server if we see a potential hardware failure imminent. So it's really fantastic, and I'm excited that we're able to do it for clients. And the truth of it is they were all on really great prices in their dedicated servers, and the new product I'm putting them in is a more expensive product, but we just keep everything the same price. So it's completely seamless to our clients. And some of it's a really huge deal. I mean, clients that have rich entertainment libraries, sometimes those are 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 terabytes. Bruce, it's a big difference moving from hard drives in a RAID to that much because it's a X multiplier on cost when you put them on this tier of storage that we're doing.
And I would imagine your support hours to do this has to be massive.
You have no idea. So we have.
Oh no, I have an idea. Yeah, I'm just guessing
huge.
it's huge.
So at MojoHost, obviously, we have a support ticket system and we have 24/7 real support. And out of our nearly 60 employees, about 50 of them are technical. But that breaks down into a lot of different departments, and we have whole departments for migrations and moves. So there's separate teams for that. There's teams for infrastructure monitoring. There's a team for network.
Migrations have been busy.
They've been really, really busy, and that whole team's been kicking butt. Yeah, it's an exciting time for us.
That's exciting.
So I have a newsletter. If you go to MojoHost and you can sign up for a free account, and I don't know if it's an opt-in or an opt-out. Pretty sure you got to opt. But you have a choice. If you just sign up for a free account, you don't have to buy anything. I don't send a lot of newsletters, but I try to make the content good and meaningful. And I expect in the new year, in 2026, there will be more of them coming from me.
You should be mailing at least monthly, because I find the content in your newsletters to be outstanding. So yeah, I think it's something you should do more of.
We run a small back office, and I have a personal touch on all of that. So, I do as much as I can. And sometimes if there's nothing to say, maybe it's better to say nothing. But there's a lot more we could be communicating.
Right now, with AI, there's a ton to be communicating.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. Well, maybe you need a good marketing agency. I can recommend one to you. So on the personal side, your twin boys are now 21. I can't believe that. And their sister is 22. That shows how long I've known you, Brad, because I remember when they were little tykes. Parenting at these ages comes with big changes and challenges. What's it been like for you, and what are your hopes and goals for them as they step into adulthood?
So, it's a challenge. I'm happy to say that, all my kids are in good health. And, they're really each on their different path. And I'm just focused on staying connected and in good communication to try to support them. I remember when I was that age, I wasn't seeking much or any advice from my parents. I wasn't maybe a good communicator. I was probably pretty selfish and not as thoughtful. But, those are all things I think that can come with those ages. But I've got 3 really, resilient, interesting adults now that are my kids.
Didn't you say you're going to bring your son to the show?
Yeah, Morris will be joining me at TESS in Prague.
Nice. I can't wait to meet him.
It's a strange thing to do what I've done for 26 years and not ever have had the opportunity to take the kids to work, so to speak, at least in a show perspective. So I'm really excited. I'm excited that he'll get to meet my friends and clients and see what it means to them.
We're really your family when it comes right down to it. Your other family.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And I'm just, they're all each on their own path. And I'm just trying to be more interactive and supportive and, sometimes find different ways to communicate and approach things because they don't necessarily always want the message. But I think as adults, as parents, we all kind of think the same things. Like, we want to teach our kids. We want to share with them. You never want people you love to have to learn things the hard way, like you felt you learned it. I know that's what I wish for with my kids. But I also understand, man, I always learned everything the hard way. The mistakes I've made, they've been the biggest teachers I've ever had.
Did your kids all finish college and everything?
Nope. They're getting there, though.
Well, they're on the 5-year plan, huh?
One might even be 6. We'll see.
What are they studying? What are the different ones studying?
Each different. My daughter's at a creative college. My son's studying, one of my boys is studying pharmacy, and the other one is more of a fine arts, generalist with his college experience. So, we'll see. I just, I want my kids to be happy. And, if happy was working with their hands or doing something else, I'm fully supportive of that. I think I had a lot of preconceived notions with parenting. And when you get older, and if you ever have these moments where you realize that life is really more precious, it's just amazing to have it and to be healthy. Everything else falls to the background. It just matters less. I just want my kids to be okay. I want them to be safe. I want to spend time with them. I wish for them to enjoy what they do. And I've always tried to give them a life where they could imagine and believe that they could achieve their dreams. And ironically, the last few years, they haven't been as receptive to that. And it's funny because over all of my decades of doing what I do in our work, I know I've had real great, meaningful, and inspirational conversations with lots of people that have told me, "Oh, thanks for sharing your experience." But what I really yearn for as a parent is I'd like to share it more with my own kids.
Yeah, of course. Well, Brad, you build an extraordinary business. You're deeply engaged in the community. And I want to add a thank you for, and as far as the adult community goes, a thank you for your support of the Supreme Court case that the FSC had against Texas. And you're a father of 3. At this point in your journey, how are you feeling? What's most important to you right now? And how are you balancing work, family, and your business?
To be honest, I'm feeling pretty zen lately. I've always carried a really, really high amount of stress being a web host. It's a high responsibility when so many people rely on you, and I've always taken that to heart. I'm just really trying to enjoy the journey. I'm trying to make sure that the people that I love around me, all my employees, my clients, my friends, I'm trying to do as much of that for other people. I love what I'm doing at MojoHost. I'm so in love with my own brand. It's almost ridiculous. But I really do. And, I hope that, if I could make a wish, I'd like to share it with more of the world. Sometimes I feel like we're the best little hosting company that nobody knows about. And I don't know if that's in the cards. And you know what? And the truth of it is, if we never make it out of our vertical market, I'm sure that I'll be just fine and happy. But it would be great to share more of that with the world. And I think MojoAI might be a way for me to put us, in some interesting new spaces and new opportunities.
Yeah, because with everything that's going on in adult, I'm a little surprised you haven't diversified more.
Well, so there's a lot of different business lessons that I could probably drone on for hours. But the truth of it is, you also have to know when you're really good at something, and you have to appreciate who puts food on your table, because it's very easy to be an entrepreneur or to be some successful woman or man that thinks you're king or queen of the world. And I've always been a student of watching everything around me and trying to be observant. And I've seen so many entrepreneurs feel like they had the world by the cojones and lose everything. So as I was saying, earlier in the interview, that's why I was treading slowly with this. I could have spent way more on GPU. I mean, I spent about $1 million, up to $3.5 million, maybe just about $1 million of it was on the GPU hardware, and maybe another 100 or 200,000 on intellectual property, which is a lot for me. That's a lot. That's, some new trademarks, new domains, things like that. But, I'm excited to see things moving forward. And, I'm trying to really spend as much time as I can with my parents. I actually bought a house a year ago that's just 4 houses away from theirs. I'm so blessed that they're in good health. Sorry, now I'm feeling emotional.
How old are they now?
My mom is 80 and my dad is 84, and they are just some of my best friends. I am enjoying every minute, and I'm also trying to make sure that I'm, maintaining my friendships, and that I'm giving the space to the people that are in my world the opportunity to do that, and all the ways that we can be supportive at Mojo to our people to enjoy their lives more. We try to do that too.
I get it, man. I get it. I went through it with my mom, and hey, she made it to almost 82, and with her lifestyle of smoking for 50 years and being 100 pounds overweight for 25 years, she probably shouldn't have made it that far, but
that's a pretty good run, Bruce.
That's a damn good run. I expect to repeat it. I've been doing a lot for my health lately, and I'm down 16 pounds, and I'm stoked, baby.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm down a bit too, and I'm really focused a bit more on health and fitness. Unfortunately, I'm still doing the smoking, but...
Oh, you got to stop that. I've been telling you that for years, bud. Come on.
Probably all 25 of them.
Oh, Jesus. Well, anyway, there will be less of me to love when I see you in a couple weeks. Brad, I'd like to thank you for being our guest again today on Adult Site Broker Talk, and I know we'll get a chance to do this again soon down the road.
That was a pleasure. Thanks very much, Bruce. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Hey, thank you.
My broker tip today is part 6 of how to buy a site. Last week, we talked about the sales agreement. So now, both you and the seller have signed the agreement. What comes next? There needs to be an escrow set up where you send the money, whether it be a one-time payment or a deposit if you're going to be making payments. The seller, for their part, puts the assets of the sale into escrow, namely the domains being sold and any other tangible assets. Your attorney can give you more information on that. We recommend escrow domains for escrows. They're a firm out of Washington, D.C., and no, they're not paying me to say this. I just use them, trust them, and am delighted by the work they've done for us. Either an escrow agreement will be drawn up by them in the case of a custom escrow, or if it's a simple one, it can be done right on their website. Then you, the buyer, the seller, and the broker will be contacted by escrow domains with further instructions, such as wiring information. The escrow is opened, and either the deal closes within a matter of days or an inspection period is allowed. It all depends on what the agreement calls for. Whether you need an inspection period really depends on whether there's still some information you need to find out prior to the deal closing. Your broker and your attorney can advise you more on this, and it's on a case-by-case basis. Then the money is transferred, as are the domains, and the deal is closed. Now, in many cases, in fact, most of the time, the seller either stays on board for a period of time to help with the transition or is at least available on an on-call basis to answer questions. This is something most buyers should ask for. But at this point, you pretty much own the website. What do you do now? We'll talk about that subject more next week. And next week, we'll be speaking with Elle Stenger of the podcast They Talk Sex. Before we go, I want to give my condolences to the family of Michael Bartholomew, who sadly passed away a couple of days ago. Mike was a wonderful part of our industry and a good friend. He'll be sorely missed. And that's it for this week's Adult Side Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Brad Mitchell of MojoHost. Talk to you again next week on Adult Side Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.